freedom's the answer. What's the question? You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
Yeah! What we fighting for here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, each and every day. Oh, I want to go ahead and go through this. I'll just, show some of the graphics. We're going to put this up, Anthony, as a video also. Video YouTube, we do the radio archive and a video version of it. Got your pretty face up on the screen all the time when you're talking. So what we're going to do is on this silver bullet wallet voting thing, this is the concept. Now, silver bullets, silver for bullets, you got somebody, you're going into the gun shows and so on. These people are much more inclined to understand the value of precious metals, to be able to trade. They're, so that's a good place to start. And you're starting to educate people on what these old pre-64 U.S. minted coins are really worth. A dime right now is like $2.10 or something like that for a dime. So you better want to be checking the years on your dimes and stuff. A quarter's $5. I mean, this is $0.50 is 10 or something. I mean, it's a lot. So I'm going, okay. So if you got somebody that'll do it, they might even give you a discount. So we're going down. We'll get shirts done up, and when you go to do some business with him, you yelling, doing some trading here, boss. We're right over here. We're giving this guy some money. Everybody seeing that we're giving him some money, some real money. And then you start, and these gun shows are all over the country. Well, we have Revolutionaries everywhere. We already got started, Anthony, man. We're all over it. And what's going to happen is we're able to educate people on certainly the devaluation of the U.S. dollar. That's one lesson. You find out a dime's worth $2.10. But what we're doing is, now think about it. Who has a silver bullet? Who's the silver bullet guy? It's the Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger. He's Mr. Silver Bullet. Well, who do we morph? Whose face gets morphed onto, the Lone Ranger? Might be a little Ron Paul action there. You see what I mean? Then you got the Silver Bullet. You have Coors Light has an entire campaign that's all about the Silver Bullet train. Here it comes now. How do you get the Lovolution involved in this? How do you get that in there? Well, what's the song that they use on the Coors Light commercials? Get all aboard the Love Train. That's right, the Love Train. And we're going to morph it. We're already doing the artwork on this and so on. We have that. And you got, and who's the bad guys? Who is the bad? Ooh, evil bad guy. It's the werewolf that gets taken out by a silver bullet. So whose face gets morphed in to, it's going to be Ben Bernanke. Ooh, ugly picture. So this you can start to see. It's just for us to be able to do some education, have some fun, and Max Kaiser can be the guy they go after first. And he did it. It's not my fault. But so you can see the opportunity to educate people on an entirely different barter or monetary system that's already there. It exists. We don't have to make this stuff up. It's already there. So I'm going, this is something that I'm willing to use as an educational thing, and I don't see what else we're going to be able to do other than, I don't know, just take it. It always devolves into, what real goodies are worth. I mean, what's your thought on this?
Well, I think that anything that, spreads the message creatively is great. And I actually, when you mentioned the silver bullet, the werewolf idea popped in my head as well. So it must be a good one, right?
Yep. Like mine's.
No, but surely I think we need more of that. We need more videos and audio, and I mean, it's great.
Yeah, no, I see this taking off more than people. Nobody really had the vision that I did on the Lovolution, what was going to happen there. But as an activist, I already knew what was going to happen. I mean, it already started in 06 here, and some statewide campaigns using that logo and so on. So we already knew the sentiment of the people, and this educational process through gun shows. I tell you what, it's a good enough idea that the bad guys aren't going to like it. They're not going to like it enough. They're going to have to do something. I don't know what, but they're not going to just sit there on their hands and have this explode the way it is. Well, take out J.P. Morgan. We'll expose some naked shorts. Well, I don't know. I don't care. I think the opportunity is to educate people. But, that's another thing. Ask you about this. Ron Paul running in 2012 for president again. What do you see that as? Is that it's another great speaking tour? It's an opportunity to really, take the White House. It's, what do you see that as?
Well, I've never really thought that we're going to have a libertarian win the presidency and then we'll have freedom. But I was a big supporter of the Ron Paul evolution because it spread the ideas of freedom, and maybe more can be done in that area. I must say though, I've become kind of more and more anti-electoral politics every election cycle. I used to have a quiet preference. I wouldn't vote for either major party, of course, but I would have more of a quiet preference as to who would win. I didn't even have that in this last congressional election. I really couldn't care less, or rather, I didn't think it was predictable which side would be worse for liberty to have in there. So in 2012, although I'd love to see the Democratic agenda repudiated, I don't think that the neocon agenda of Sarah Palin or Newt Gingrich or any of these people who might get the nomination. Unfortunately, I don't think a libertarian Republican is going to get the nomination, although I think that it could be good for educational reasons. But I'm not really that. I'm not very optimistic about electoral politics as an engine for change. I don't know the last time an election gave us more liberty.
Well, what is the engine for change?
Well,
share
ideas.
That with me.
It's ideas, and it's the spread of goodwill and whether it's international or interpersonal between different groups and ethnicities and classes and people with different walks of life and interests that come with commerce and cultural exchange and the ideas of freedom. So language and food and art and
well, that brings up the issue of something like immigration was all the rage in the last 2 election cycles. Immigration is the problem. If we could just get all the Mexicans out of the United States, all would be well. And I'm like, yeah, they might get what they want, and then they're going to be stuck with what they got. And I don't see borders and boundaries. I mean, is that something that enters into your philosophical look at the world, that there's colored spaces on a map that, need to be adhered to? Or do you see those colors and lines changing relatively? Certainly economically, they already have. What's your view on countries and ethnicities and government, and we need to be segregated, ruled, managed, herded, we're livestock? I mean, give me a view on that from your perspective.
I think that if borders and sovereignty have any justification at all, it's to keep governments out. And I don't even know if they work very well. I'm not a big fan of sovereignty. I don't think, that I have a piece on Lew Rockwell from a few years ago on the North American Union, and people talking, a lot of people think that this is a conspiracy to get rid of U.S. sovereignty. I think it's a conspiracy to spread U.S. sovereignty. I think the U.S. government is too sovereign, and it wants to conquer the entire Western Hemisphere and the world, and certainly Canada and Mexico, and the power elite in this country always has. But all regimes like to spread their boundaries, and I don't believe in these lines on a map. I think that in a free society, it might be difficult to say that we would have open immigration as some people conceive of it, since everything would be private and there'd be communities and there'd be travel and there'd be exchange and migration. But I don't know if it'd be completely open. But I do not think there's any legitimacy of a government keeping peaceful people from crossing borders at all. I mean, absolutely not. I think that in the case of Mexican immigration, it's a great boon to American culture on balance. It's always been part of American culture, right? I mean, most of these states that have problems, or people think they have problems, used to belong to Mexico anyway. So, no, I don't think there's anything sacred about the border.
Well, it's been a great pleasure. You can see why Anthony Gregory is one of my favorite writers. You know, you see his stuff on Lou Rockwell, Independent Institute, Future Freedom Foundation, wherever. Read it, because the boy knows what he's talking about. I am very happy we have made our acquaintance and we got to be friends, Anthony, because I'm telling you, I'm so glad to see that the next Generation Next, has got it going on. And we're going to try and just, do everything we can to help. Thanks for coming on, Anthony. It's my pleasure to have you on, man.
Thanks so much, Ernie. It's all my pleasure.
We'll be right back here at the top of the hour news break here on Declare Your Independence. You guys don't go away. I got some more goodies to tell you what we did this weekend. We'll be right back.